Single dad found a female cop dying. What he and his dog did shocked the entire police force. It was close to midnight when Daniel Reeves, a single father and ex-K9 handler, was walking his German Shepherd, Rex, along the quiet outskirts of town. His 10-year-old daughter was asleep at home, and the night air was his one escape from the weight of bills. Long shifts at the auto shop, and the loneliness that crept in when the house was too quiet. Rex suddenly froze. His ears shot up, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Daniel knew that sound something was wrong. They followed the trail into the brush off the dirt road. And that's when Daniel saw her. A woman in uniform, collapsed on the ground, blood staining her side. She was gasping, struggling to keep her eyes open. "Officer down," Daniel muttered, adrenaline spiking. He knelt beside her. Her name tag read, Martinez. "Stay with me, Martinez. You're gonna make it," he said firmly, his hands pressing against the wound. But the bleeding was bad, too bad for his bare hands. "Rex bag," Daniel snapped. The trained shepherd bolted back toward the road. Daniel always carried a med kit in Rex's saddlebag from his service days. Within seconds, Rex returned, the kit dangling from his teeth. Daniel ripped it open, packing the wound with gauze, then cinched it with a pressure bandage. He remembered the training drilled into him years ago, back when he worked side by side with soldiers and K9 South overseas. Martinez whispered. Ambushed, they took the witness before she lost consciousness. Daniel didn't wait for an ambulance. He lifted her into his old pickup, Rex leaping into the back, and sped straight toward the nearest precinct. He radioed ahead using her unit mic, giving his exact location and status. By the time he screeched into the police lot, Martinez was still breathing barely. Officers swarmed the truck, stunned to see a civilian and his dog delivering one of their own. The ER doctors later said if not for Daniel's quick actions, Martinez would have bled out before help arrived. But that wasn't all. The trail of information she gave him, the word witness, sparked a chain reaction. Detectives realized the ambush was part of a larger plot to silence the only person who could testify against a powerful crime ring, using Martinez's clue and Rex's keen nose, leading them to the trail near the ambush site. They tracked down the hideout where the kidnappers held the witness. When the force arrived, they freed the witness, arrested the crew, and tied the whole operation back to a cartel-backed biker gang that had terrorized the city for months. At the next precinct briefing, the police captain did something unheard of. He called Daniel and Rex to the front of the room. "You're not sworn officers," the captain said, his voice carrying over the crowd of uniforms. "But last night, you saved one of our own and you helped us bring down a case we've been chasing for over a year." The entire room rose to their feet. Applause thundered, and some officers even saluted. Martinez, pale but alive in her hospital bed, whispered later, "I owe you my life. Both of you." Daniel only shook his head. "No, ma'am. You owe it to Rex. I just followed his lead." But, deep down, everyone in that room knew the truth. Single Dad and his loyal dog had done what no one expected. They had shocked the entire police force. The lonely night Daniel Reeves never planned on being a hero again. Those days, he thought, were long behind him. A decade ago, he'd been a decorated Army K9 handler, running dangerous missions overseas. But after his wife passed from cancer, he hung up the uniform and focused on raising his daughter. Lily. Now he worked at an auto shop, fixing engines by day and parenting by night. His only companion after Lily was asleep was Rex's loyal German Shepherd who had once saved lives on the battlefield. That night, the world was quiet. The stars were sharp against the black sky, and the only sound was Rex's steady breathing beside him, until Rex froze. His hackles rose, and a growl rumbled low. "What is it, boy?" Daniel asked, instinctively tightening his grip on the leash. Rex bolted forward, pulling Daniel down a dirt path into the brush. Daniel's military instincts screamed at him to follow. And then he saw her, the discovery Young woman in a police uniform lay sprawled on the ground, blood soaking through her vest. Her hand twitched weakly, trying to reach her radio. Jesus, Daniel muttered, kneeling. Hang on. The officer's lips moved, barely a whisper. Help witness, they'll kill him, don't talk, Daniel ordered, pressing down hard on the wound. Stay with me, officer. He spotted her name, Tag Martinez. Her pulse was fading. He needed supplies. Dash now. Double quotes. Rex. Medkit. The shepherd bolted back down the road. Daniel pressed harder on the wound, muttering, Come on, don't you dare. Check out on me. Within moments, Rex returned with the saddlebag clenched in his teeth. Daniel yanked it open, hands working on muscle memory gauze, pressure bandage. He packed the wound tight and cinched it down. Martinez gasped in pain, but her eyes stayed open. You're gonna be all right, Daniel said. I've got you. The rush Daniel didn't waste time waiting for paramedics. He lifted Martinez's blood, soaking through his jacket and carried her to his old pickup. Rex leaped into the back, barking urgently. Daniel grabbed the officer's unit mic from her belt, his voice steady. This is Daniel Reeves. I've got Officer Martinez. She's been shot bad. I'm en route to the precinct. ATA. 5 minutes. Reeves. You're not a cop. How do you have this unit? A dispatcher's voice crackled. No time to explain. Prep your team. She's not gonna make it if we wait. He floored the truck. The tires screeched as he sped through the empty streets, lights blurring past. Martinez's voice rasped. Ambushed witness, kidnapped. Daniel's jaw clenched. Someone had set her up. The shock at the station when Daniel skidded into the precinct. Lot officers poured out, weapons raised until they saw him jump from the cab, carrying one of their own. Officer down. Get medics, now, someone shouted. They rushed Martinez inside, but the sight of Daniel and Rex stayed with them. Later, a doctor would confirm, if not for that field dressing. Martinez wouldn't have survived the ride, but Daniel wasn't finished, he repeated. Martinez's last words to the detectives. She said something about a witness ambushed, kidnapped. Detective Harris narrowed his eyes. How the hell did you know to stabilize her like that? Daniel met his gaze, calm and steady. Because this isn't the first time I've held someone's life in my hands. He patted Rex. And he's not just a pet. He's trained to save people. The hunt hours later, Daniel stood in the command room, maps and surveillance photos plastered across the walls. He hadn't planned to be there, but when Martinez briefly regained consciousness at the hospital, she insisted, trust him. He knows what he's doing. The detectives debated where the witness might be held, but Daniel, crouched by Rex, showing him Martinez's bloodied vest. Find him, boy, Rex sniffed, then growled, pulling toward the map toward the industrial docks. Wait a second, Harris said, stunned. Are you telling me your dog just... Daniel cut him off? He's not guessing. He's tracking. We don't have time to doubt him. Against protocol, the captain gave the order. We roll out. If he's wrong, we pull back. If he's right, we save a life. The docks were dark, shadows stretching long across the warehouses. Inside one, voices barked orders in Spanish. Men with biker jackets and cartel tattoos guarded the entrance. The police SWAT team fanned out. Daniel crouched with Rex. Heart pounding. Stay, he whispered, though Rex's muscles quivered. Ready to spring. The raid erupted flashbangs, shouting, boots pounding. Gunfire cracked through the night. Daniel spotted a man being dragged toward the back. The witness, without hesitation, he let Rex loose. The German shepherd was a blur of muscle and teeth, slamming into one of the kidnappers, dropping him instantly. Daniel charged after, tackling another and wrenching the weapon free. By the time SWAT stormed the room, Daniel had the witness shielded, and Rex stood guard, snarling over two incapacitated men. The aftermath back at the precinct, the police force, was buzzing. They'd arrested the cartel-backed bikers, rescued the witness, and pieced together evidence that broke the entire case open. But the story everyone whispered about was the civilian and his dog. At the next briefing, Captain Rhodes did something unprecedented. He called Daniel and Rex to the front of the room. "You're not one of us," Rhodes said, voice heavy with respect, "but last night, you saved one of ours and you gave us back a witness who will put killers behind bars." The room erupted in applause. Officers stood, clapped, some even saluted. Martinez, pale in her hospital bed, later whispered to Daniel, "You gave me a second chance. I'll never forget that." Daniel smiled faintly. "Don't thank me. Thank Rex. He always knows when someone needs saving." The truth, though, was clear to everyone. A single dad and his dog had done what the entire force hadn't expected. They shocked the entire police force.